Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Um, so I would really like your comments today, comment on the live stream. And today I'm going to talk about Summorum Pontificum. Now I saw an article, this was Rarate Cheli on their blog. And about Summorum Pontificum, first thing I want to say is that there's been rumors swirling for the past several months. And let me turn on this light. There, that looks a little better. All right, so there's been rumors swirling for several months about Summorum Pontificum, and I mean, we came up with this term, chicken little trad. And so I don't want to be a chicken little trad. I want to take the middle ground here like Bishop Barron. You get it? But no, I do want to kind of step back a little bit from all these rumors and all this panic. And people are saying, the sky is falling, the Latin Mass is going to be canceled, the FSSP is going to be canceled, your diocesan Latin Mass is going to be canceled. All right, calm down, people. And I do want to direct you to a video. Ryan the Retrograde, he did a solo show on Summorum Pontificum, this very topic. And he said basically, like, a lot of people are panicking, but is it really? These rumors have been swirling. They've been around for years, and so what does it mean? What's going to happen? But I do want to direct you to the description, and I have a link in the description to Arati Chali's blog. Go ahead and read more of the posts on that if you're interested. But there was the situation of Minerath, or Archbishop Minerath in Dijon, France, and he banned the FSSP from his archdiocese. He kicked him out, and he had a quote. He said, "You will have a new motu proprio in the upcoming days or weeks." And in Taylor Marshall's video, his recent video, I think it was released today, he said that the FSSP was kicked out because they would not celebrate the Novus Ordo. And the FSSP, so here's one point here that I have this information, that the FSSP's attitude towards celebration is slightly different than the Institute of Christ the King. The Institute will celebrate the Chrism Mass on the Wednesday of Holy Week. Not that all of the Institute priests do. I think that their order is okay with it. Not that it's very common in the Institute, but I don't think that they have quite the attitude that the FSSP has, which is not to celebrate the Chrism Mass, because if the FSSP priests wanted to celebrate the Novus Ordo, then they wouldn't join the FSSP. They would join a diocese, or what is it, St. John Cantius in Chicago, or there's a lot of religious orders that say both the Old and the New Mass. And so the FSSP's attitude is, if they wanted to say the New Mass, then they would join a different order. I think that's pretty obvious. Not obvious, but I think that's pretty straightforward and very practical. So the title of this video is Powerful Bishops Oppose Summorum Pontificum. And so Cardinal Parolin, he said, "We must put an end to this Mass forever." And Archbishop Rocher, the new prefect for Congregation of Divine Worship, he said, "Summorum Pontificum is practically dead. We will give back to the bishops power on this matter, but particularly not to conservative bishops." I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you discriminate against that. And I do want to also mention, I noticed on Gloria TV, and I want to talk about this for a little bit. I actually think it's pretty funny. I noticed a mention on Gloria TV, one of their articles a while ago, about how there was a rumor about Summorum Pontificum twofold, how it would restrict, number one, the diocesan priests, and number two, it would require some sort of loyalty test for the FSSP or Institute of Christ the King. And I thought that was actually pretty hilarious, because the idea, I don't know if this is, it's just a rumor, but the idea that the Vatican would send FSSP and Institute priests to re-education camps. I mean, isn't the Vatican to re-education camps? So what are they going to do? Are they going to have them hold hands in a circle, sing "Kumbaya," and say, "Hey, we're gonna force you to celebrate the balloon mass"? Like, I don't know. I think that's pretty hilarious. But let me know your thoughts on this in the live stream, in the live chat, and maybe we can get some discussion going here. But uh, so it's the idea of Summorum Pontificum being restricted. I have a few thoughts on this, and we don't know what it's going to be. So any of this discussion is pretty much, I don't want to say completely useless, but it's really, and I almost feel like this is clickbait, just because it's not really that significant. We don't know what's going to happen, so I can't tell you, oh well, do this, because if Summorum Pontificum is there going to be a new motu proprio to replace Summorum Pontificum? Is there going to be a declaration that uh, I guess nullifies Summorum Pontificum? Is there going to be certain sections of Summorum Pontificum that are wiped out? And until we know what it's going to be, we can't really react to it. Now, what I'm thinking is that, see, this bishop of Dijon, France, this archbishop, I guess what he was saying about kicking out the FSSP, he was referring to two different rights. He said the old right and the new right. And right now, I talked about this in a video a while ago, is that we have the people who say the extraordinary form and the ordinary form. And they refer to Summorum Pontificum's classification and Pope Benedict's classification of that, which we've said in a number of videos on this channel is bogus, because it's basically they're functioning as two different rights. It's just that the bishops, the Novus Ordo bishops, mostly control the Latin rite, the old rite. But this bishop of Dijon, France, referred to the old rite and the new rite. That's significant. And if Summorum Pontificum is indeed rescinded or nullified or any of that stuff, then it's going to get rid of this false idea that there's two forms, one rite. And so if a bishop sees the Novus Ordo and the Latin Mass as two different rites, then the Latin Mass really needs their own bishops. And right now there are, I think it's three official Latin bishops, and those are SSPX bishops. And the fourth one is Sedevacantists, so that's Bishop Williamson, I think, who's Sedevacantist, so that might not help too much. But the three SSPX bishops are the ones who are Latins, or who are Latin bishops. That's it. That's all we got. But we also have people like Bishop Gracida and Archbishop Vigano, who are increasingly promoting the Latin Mass. And then we have a guy like, here's someone who's relatively unknown, Archbishop Gullickson. And Archbishop Gullickson is in South Dakota. I don't know which diocese, but he's retired. He's a retired nuncio. I think he was a nuncio to Switzerland, and he took an early retirement. And now he's in South Dakota, and he is a parish priest. He's like substituting as a parish priest for a certain parish, but he was a very big fan of the Old Mass, and so he's someone who's a really interesting character. I think he's 70, so that's not very old for a bishop. He's still he took it, like I said, he took an early retirement. So there's one bishop, but there's a number of bishops around who, they're pretty good bishops, and they're interested in the Old Mass. Now I see. Let me look at the live chat. Jesus, hello, what's going on? And like I said, if you have any comments, let me know in the live chat. Michael Belmontes. I'm trying to escape the virus, LMNOP, Archdiocese, Novus Ordo Parish. And that's hard to do. And this is why I say there's not really any solutions, because you don't know if your diocesan Latin Mass is going to be canceled, and I can't just say, okay, let's go Eastern Rite, because maybe you don't have an Eastern Rite parish that's within like a few hours of where you live, so you can't attend an Eastern Rite parish. But even if you could, that doesn't mean that they're not modernists. And I just want to talk a little bit about this, is that Eastern rites, Byzantine, Maronite, whatever, um, some of them are very modernist. So the Maronite liturgy, the major difference between that and the Novus Ordo is that the Maronite rite, they chant the Eucharistic consecration prayer in Aramaic. That's the original words that Jesus would have used during the Last Supper. But everything else, and because I've watched a Maronite liturgy on YouTube, and it seems like it's pretty much almost exactly the same as the Novus Ordo. It's just, um, the Novus, or the Aramaic prayer, but it's facing, mass facing the people. They have female lectors, like all that kind of stuff. And so the Maronite rite really, and that's the thing with the Eastern rites. I wish they would focus on their traditions rather than trying to be more Novus Ordo Vatican II. And that's what a lot of these Eastern rites are trying to do, is become more Vatican II. And can't you see that's why these parishes are losing people, is because they're embracing the modern world. Whereas if these Eastern Rite churches would embrace their traditions even more, like who wants to go to a divine liturgy in Church Slavonic? Who wants to go to a divine liturgy in Greek? I think that would be really cool. I would go. I wouldn't know any of the responses. I wouldn't know any of the prayers, and that's probably part of the problem, is that most of these choirs, at least in the Byzantine divine liturgy, it pretty much requires a choir. You can speak the divine liturgy, but it's not. I don't know. It's not the divine liturgy then. I mean, the Byzantine divine liturgy is chant. That's basically the whole liturgy. So I don't know. And then I do want to, like, there are some modernist Byzantines. There's a lot of good ones too, and I have the privilege of knowing some of them. So it's a tremendous blessing to be able to go to Byzantine Divine Liturgy, where they have, you're going to hear the Catholic faith, the unfiltered Catholic faith. Are you from Philly? I don't want to comment on where I'm located, but hopefully, if you go to enough Latin masses, you'll see me somewhere. I'll say that. I don't care how traditional they claim. If the pastor is pro jab, I'm out. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. And then, so there is an interesting thing. I looked at statistics on Wikipedia, and I think Wikipedia, like, you can't go with Wikipedia as like a primary source of everything, but in terms of statistics to how many people attend Eastern Rite liturgies versus the Roman Rite, uh, I'll go with Wikipedia's stats on this for a general idea. And it's said that there are a significant number of Byzantines, and there's also this Eastern Rite, Syro-Malabar, and this is from India. And so I was interested in taking a look at the Syro-Malabar liturgy. I thought, maybe it's unique to the Indian culture, but I think I stumbled upon one in the United States, and the opening song was "All Are Welcome." So I was like, well, that's enough to convince me not to watch it any further. But there are, different rights, but it's not. Some of them are few and far between. And so that brings me to the SSPX. And the problem is the SSPX doesn't seem like they try to overlap too significantly with other Latin Mass orders like the Institute or the FSSP. So if there's already an existing Latin Mass in a certain location, the SSPX is going to be hesitant to open one of their parishes there. And I think this is the case with SSPX, FSSP, and Institute, is that they're hesitant to open more parishes because they want to make sure that they have enough priests. And by that, I mean all of them like to live in community. So ideally, the Institute parishes or FSSP parishes would have two priests, at least two priests staffed in each of those. Now, the SSPX They actually live in community, so they will fly out their priests to the parishes on Sundays, which is an interesting situation. So they're super committed to this community, whereas FSSP and Institute, they really want the community, but there are parishes. I think there are a few parishes that only have one priest there, and so they don't want to expand so much that they have to isolate their priests, because community is extremely important in any kind of religious life, and that's why you see the diocesan priesthood really struggling. That's one of the reasons. Let me look at some of these comments here, but I can't even tell people. I can't even tell you go to the you know go to the SSPX, because you might not have an SSPX. I was just asking BC accent. I don't know. Try to find my accent. I don't feel like I have an accent. No one thinks they have an accent. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. BC, British Columbia? Is that what that is? I don't know. Uh, so I and here's my thought on the Novus Ordo. I'm just gonna tell you that. The SSPX perspective on the Novus Ordo is don't go to it, because it's spiritually detrimental. And I don't necessarily believe that, because there's people like Scott Hahn who have converted to the Catholic faith because he attended the Novus Ordo. So I don't want to say that the Novus Ordo is spiritually detrimental. Traditional Catholic TV, I'm worried about the TLM. We'll get to that. I don't want to say that the Novus Ordo is spiritually detrimental, because there are people that have had conversion stories at the Novus Ordo, and I don't want to discredit that. I think that if you say, like, you can't say that the Novus Ordo is invalid, and the SSPX doesn't claim that. They claim that the Novus Ordo is valid, but I don't know. It's so I think that the Latin Mass is certainly superior to the Novus Ordo objectively. Many people have said this, even people who like the Novus Ordo. They say that the Latin Mass. Scott Hahn says the Latin Mass. He prefers the Latin Mass to the Novus Ordo, and so I'm not going to say that the Novus Ordo is, you don't go to the Novus Ordo, but there's what Taylor Marshall refers to as the unicorn Novus Ordo, which is like Ad Orientem, chant, communion rails, and Father Richard Heilman is one of the priests that has this, that has a unicorn Novus Ordo. And if you watch, I think St. Mary's Pine Bluff, I think that's what the parish is called. I mean, it's a beautiful church. It's a great place for a mass, and that'd be cool to go there someday, take some photos, and talk to Father Heilman. But with his unicorn Novus Ordo, it's call it a reverent Novus Ordo, and I think even Tim Gordon, Tim Gordon on Twitter said he said I've been to probably one reverent Novus Ordo in my entire life. So what does it mean for reverent Novus Ordo? Ad Orientem. I think Ad Orientem is the basic requirement for reverent Novus Ordo. And how many Ad Orientem masses are there? Very few. I would say, is it 1%? Probably less than 1% of all Novus Ordos are Ad Orientem. So that's like your bare minimum requirement. But then even Father Richard Heilman's Novus Ordo has had a female lector. So that's why I say, even like a low mass is better than a super reverent Novus Ordo, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts, because the closest a reverent Novus Ordo can get to a Latin Mass, it still doesn't, the prayers are still different. There's a few items in the Mass that are still different, like the prayers of the faithful. So, and I think, I don't know if the priests are forced to distribute communion in the hand at the Novus Ordo, but it certainly seems like they would have a lot of pressure to do so. I'm going to get to the comments here. So let me scroll through here. Okay, wow, lots of comments. I am worried about the TLM. I wouldn't be so worried about it. I don't think, like, well, it's, I don't know. I'm a little concerned, but, well, and are priests going to stand up? That's my question. How many priests are just going to say, you know what? I don't care. I can say the Latin Mass. This is my Roman rite, and I'm just going to, I'm just going to continue to say the Latin Mass. Now the bishop can, sanction him and whatever, but then what about the good bishops? The good bishops are just going to say, yeah, continue to celebrate the Latin Mass. I mean, like Strickland's not going to ban it, Archbishop Sample's not going to ban it, and a lot of bishops aren't going to dare to ban it because what's going to happen? People are going to go SSPX, or they're not going to donate money to the diocese, and then they're going to lose even more money. So, and bad publicity. And I'm scrolling through the comments. Let's see. This is tough on my phone. I'm sorry, guys. Scott Hahn goes, it's the TLM, yes. My parish, Star of the Sea, we have TLM and Unicorn Novus Ordo, and all communion is on the communion rails. Great. Ad Orientem and Chance, Star of the Sea in San Francisco. All right, so if you're in San Francisco, check out this parish. I've been to Monterey once, and actually there's a lot of beautiful mission churches. What's interesting in California is that they have all these ugly cathedrals, but they have so many of these beautiful, historic, old Spanish mission churches, which is really cool. Like the Spanish architecture is great, and it's just a really beautiful church, and it would inspire a lot of people. But instead, they have these ugly modern facilities that probably cost like $30 million. I mean, I know in Orange, California, they bought this Crystal Cathedral. It was a Protestant cathedral, and it's so ugly. And not only that, but Dr. Peter Kwasniewski wrote an article about the ugly symbolism, like the strange symbolism that they have this like some weird art in there. If they put like Catholic stuff in there, like statues and everything, I don't know, maybe they can make it nice. They should just started from scratch and built their own cathedral, but that's it. Okay, so I see most priests go with the flow. Mine won't ban it either. Okay, good. Um, but yeah, that's also a good point. How many priests are just going to say, well, I'm just going to say the Novus Ordo? How many priests want to say Ad Orientem Mass but don't? How many priests are waiting for permission from their bishop to say Mass Ad Orientem? I mean, that's such a small detail. Like, even if you have a freestanding altar, you can always just say Mass facing the tabernacle, assuming the tabernacle is directly behind the altar, which if you're a priest or a pastor, then you need to put the tabernacle behind the altar. But how many? I mean, you can just face the different direction, and then you're obviously going to have some people that are complaining about it. But it's also an opportunity for educating people to say like, there's a differentiation in the mass, and I see some more comments here. What about the SSPX, the resistance priests? Archbishop Coeur de Leon is very traditional and has done ordinations. Yeah, that's a big thing. FSSP, they don't have a bishop. That's really inconvenient. So they need someone to do their ordinations. And there are several bishops around the United States who will do old rite ordinations. I know in Pennsylvania, I'm not so sure about Bishop Gaynor of Harrisburg. I don't know that he is ordained priest in the old rite, but I know he has said the old mass for nuns for the monasteries that he has in his diocese, and so there's priests that are very open to this. And okay, so I'm actually going to have to cut this short, not, but that's what I got on that. Let's see, SSPX, he's still Bishop Williams. MC still Bishop Williams. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna have to cut this short, and well, not really because it's been a long video, but I'm glad all of you stuck around to watch this live stream. Just kind of me rambling my thoughts on the whole situation. Don't be a Chicken Little trad. I know that there's a lot of rumors and there's probably some truth to them, but at the same time, who really knows? So just hang in there. I would say network with a lot of people. Network with a lot of traditional people. Organize prayer groups. Get their emails, even if you don't contact them very often. That's probably the best thing to do in this situation. Talk to traditional priests. You might be able to have some underground masses if bad things really go down. So, but that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.